For centuries, Jews endured persecution across almost all European countries. They were marginalized, often pushed to society's fringes, and sometimes wholly excluded. This persecution reached its peak during World War II, marking one of history's darkest chapters. To prevent such history from repeating, a plan was set in motion that had been discussed as early as the 19th century. The plan aimed to establish a dedicated state for Jews to live peacefully. In 1948, under the United States' protection, Israel was founded in the Middle East. However, the Middle East location was just one of several proposals. Albania, the US, Eastern Russia, and even Uganda were initially considered for a Jewish state. In total, 30 potential locations were examined. Let's explore some of these locations, understand why some proposals were rejected, and why the Middle East ultimately became the chosen destination. Initial concepts emerged in the early 19th century. One of the earliest proposals dates back to 1820 when a New York Jewish politician advocated for a Jewish state. He purchased a significant portion of Grand Island in New York's Niagara River and established the city of Ararat, named after Noah's Ark's biblical resting place. Yet, this idea garnered limited support and was swiftly abandoned. A more impactful plan was the British proposal, advocating for a Jewish homeland through the British Uganda program. This initiative aimed to allocate a part of British East Africa as a Jewish homeland. The British presented this offer to Theodore Herzl, the Zionist Society's founder, at the Sixth Zionist Congress in 1903. Despite thorough debate, the Uganda program was ultimately rejected. The proposed territory was already inhabited by the Maasai people, and the environment was deemed hazardous due to its flora and fauna. Additionally, calls for a state in Palestine were already gaining momentum, making the acceptance of the Uganda program less likely. In 1928, the Soviet Union entered discussions about a Jewish nation, offering a settlement area in the Far East near China's border. However, this offer was not purely altruistic. The Soviet leadership had strategic motives for settling Jews in this underpopulated region. Yet, the Jewish community's strong ties to western regions of the Soviet Union, extreme climate conditions, and the perceived danger of the Chinese border led to the plan's failure. Another viable European location emerged in 1935 when British scientist and journalist Leo Elton explored Albania. Known for its pro-Jewish stance and lack of historical persecution, Albania seemed promising. Discussions with the Albanian government were positive, and it was believed that Jewish settlers could coexist harmoniously with the local population. Albania's isolation from industrialized Europe and fertile agricultural land added to its appeal. Although this plan envisioned accommodating up to 5 million Jewish residents, it ultimately fell through. The reasons for its failure remain somewhat unclear, but it may have been premature, given the unfolding systematic persecution of Jews in Europe. The plan likely emerged prematurely, preceding the outbreak of the Second World War. The widespread persecution of Jews across Europe was already well underway. In 1939, Albania came under Italian occupation, followed later by German rule. Following the war, the United States championed the establishment of a Jewish state in Palestine, leading to the abandonment of all other proposals. This move provided Jews with a protective power, especially considering that Palestine held deep historical significance as the Jews' original homeland. Despite this, Albania's profound respect for Jews remained evident during the war. Defying Axis powers' occupation, Albania concealed and safeguarded all Jewish inhabitants, ensuring their eventual survival. Remarkably, after the war, the Jewish population in Albania even grew, as the country became a safe haven in war-torn Europe.